Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Dice here, and I want to welcome you to this video, which is going to be the third video in the series on the things that you should have worked out leading up to 30. So in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about identity and also aging. So if you don't know me, I'm Dice. I help young, analytically and logically minded men that are just like you. I help you to discover your purpose so that you can live your life with clarity, meaning and direction. If you like this sort of content, hit that like button and subscribe. Helps the channel out a great deal. And also, I'd hate for you to miss out on the final episode that I've got in this series that I'm sort of putting together for you now. All right, let's get cracking in the video. So by now, leading up to 30, you should be confirming your identity, or you should be at least aggressively working on that goal, okay? Let me ask you a question. Who are you, okay? Can you actually justify your existence to me? You know, it's a very hard, you sort of put on the spot and you're like, I haven't really thought of it this way. Well, maybe leave it in the comment section below, justify your existence. And if you can't justify your existence, then maybe that's something to look into, okay? Maybe even write that in the comment section below saying, look, I don't know what my purpose is, but these are the things that I do know, and just like elaborate on that for me. What are the parts of you that you want to change? What are the parts that you don't want to change? What are the thought processes that have been working for you and the ones that haven't, okay? By now, leading up to 30, you should have worked on and realized that there's some thought processes that really help you, and there's some ideas that have really helped you, and you're trying to utilize your time and filter out the ones that are not working and sort of solidify and perfect the ones that are. So you've probably built up really good habits up until this point. You've probably built up things like, habits that are revolving around money, okay? So you've got a decent job, you've got a good source of income, you've got a means to bring quality girls into your life, quality friendships in your life, trying to collect those happiness points, as much as you can, because as I talked about in the previous video, your time is very limited. So you want to try and capitalize on many happiness points that you can have, so you can live a good, happy life. Or maybe, this is a time, maybe through this video, you realize that you haven't been addressing these things. You've sort of been, sitting in front of a television or through some sort of other escapism activity, and you haven't been addressing these things, and that's sort of creating a sense of incompletion, or there's something that needs to be done. Hopefully this video can sort of help you with that and wake you up. By now, as you sort of, especially closer to 30, I don't know about 25. I wasn't really there at 25, but if you're lucky, hopefully you're there. But certainly for me, closer to 30, you sort of learn not to beat yourself up as much, okay? You know that by beating yourself up, it doesn't actually help out with the goal, and you've learned to try your best you can to catch yourself when you're doing that. So by 30, you've actually been through a lot more adversity. You've come to terms with that there's a little bit of humiliation and certainly a lot of disappointment that goes along with what you need to do to go after your ultimate success. You've come to terms with that fact and that knowing, and you realize that it's perfectly normal and it's okay. You've actually also maybe even gone a little bit further, and you've realized that you should be using it as an indicator that you're actually taking enough action in the right direction. You can't actually get disappointed if you're not actually taking a level of action in that direction. You're not actually getting lightly humiliated. You're not getting haters if you're not actually putting yourself out there. So for me, if I don't actually encounter some haters on my journey, that doesn't mean I'm not putting myself out there and I'm not actually saying things that are somewhat controversial that could potentially piss off a lot of people. So you've had a lot more failures leading up to 30, and even beyond 30, and you're going to realize that that's going to happen for the rest of your life. Failures are part of your life. It's part of your learning. Failures is how you get all the answers. But now you're sort of a lot more careful with the attention and where you put it, where you put your attention, and sort of where you gain your facts from, where you get your knowledge from. You've got a much more strict filter on the ideas that you do and don't let into your life. And I say good, okay? You shouldn't be taking everything on face value. You also tend to have more reference experiences now, what works and what doesn't work based on your previous experiences. But at the same time, there's probably some things that you realize that you failed to assess where you've gone wrong and how you can actually improve. So some things you've done well and other things you haven't done so much. But on top of all of this, you've built a sense of resilience, okay? A sense of a knowing that every time that you go down a dark hole, that within like a certain period of time, maybe a day, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, depending on the severity of the problem, you're able to crawl out of the mud, crawl out of the pit, and build your self-respect and self-esteem and your confidence back to a certain level. Okay, why? Because often you don't have a choice. Okay, you've probably been through some experiences where you realize you don't have this choice. You have to pull yourself together and get out there and go to work, or pull yourself together to actually get your tasks done. So that knowing, that trust in yourself, that you're like, oh, wait up, I'm in a shitty situation now, but I've got all this backed reference experiences of times that I've made it out in either worse or similar situations. That makes you feel really good, that you can look yourself in the mirror and be a man that knows who you are and have a level of self-respect and self-esteem. All right, let's talk about aging. Time flies, okay? Maybe you're like me and you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm not 18 anymore, okay? I'm not 25 anymore. Well, maybe if you're watching this video, you might actually be 25, but I'm certainly not 25 anymore, you know? Like, you get wrinkles on your face, okay? You got slightly more yellow eyes. Your little red sections in your eyes are like more prominent than they used to be, okay? Your bones ache. Literally last week, I've got this red dot. I don't know if you guys can see it, but in the bottom of my eyelid, you know, that wasn't there a week ago. You know, you're starting to realize the whole like mainstream like jargon that they say is like, oh, you're still young, you've still got time, you've still got this potential. You know, you're realizing that that's much more of an illusion, and it's more of an excuse for those people that didn't take action, or for them to try and lull you back into mediocrity and not take action. So I don't know about you, but like depending on how old you are, but certainly for me, I've got more of this sense of like constant sense, I should say, that I'm running out of fucking time. Okay, like, and this really to some degree jacks my anxiety up some more. You know, I'm not super anxious, but that thought certainly is going to anybody trigger some anxiety. But at the same time, it's also increasing a level of emotional leverage, and it's also forcing me to take more action on the things that I actually want to do, and also appreciate the time that I do have. You know, I suppose as you get older, your perception of time changes, okay? And the best way that I can describe this is, you know, when you're 10 years old, 5 years is half of your life, okay? So, you know, as you push that out, you know, to 30, 5 years is much less significant of the years that came before it. And you know that the perception of time changes is what I'm trying to get at. It just seems to fly past, and you start to think, you know, if this is the way that it's going and this is the way that it's compounding, when I get to 40, a year's going to go past like it was a fucking month, you know. And you know, if you're watching people like, I really look up to Owen Cook. He talks about these things, and he plays in the way he does, you know, with his live crowd, in that way. And I like, it really starts to build that idea that your time is very finite. So you're much more frugal with your time. This has sort of forced you to be like very selective of where you put your time and attention, okay? And again, then this leads again to you saying no more, you know, saying like, you sort of like, because you've laid out your priorities more, you'll say no to a lot more things, so that you can say yes one time or two times to the things that actually are important to you. So Derek has this saying that I really resonate with a lot, and he says, it's statistically improbable that you're the world's first immortal. So what do you want to do between the time that you've got right now and the time that is going to be your ultimate death? That really struck a chord with me when I heard it. I had to hear it a few times for it to really understood what he meant by that. Yeah, by now you should be questioning like everything in your life, okay? What can you do to prolong your life and to increase your probability of success and to increase your quality of life, so that you don't end up like most people, you know, sad, depressed, lonely, and basically just a complete washout, okay? If you look a little bit deeper past the fake smiles of the average person or the average dude over the age of 40, they are not really doing, or they didn't achieve the things that they really wanted to achieve, okay? Sure, we could have the argument, oh, some people did, some people didn't, okay? But have a look at the majority. I want you to spend the time to sit in a park one day, okay, and watch the people that go past and question, where are they in their life? there's this idea, and there's these people, maybe your parents, they might say, oh, or even people just like cutting your hair while you're freaking getting a haircut. They're saying, oh, you're still young, you're still a doll, like as this old lady's cutting your hair. You've got so much potential. When you're closer to 30, or you're 30 and over, nobody is saying that anymore, okay? By 30, society basically says, you should have worked this out by now, okay? To societal standards, you should have worked this out by now. And certainly through all these videos that I'm doing, I'm encouraging that to some degree to, I guess, fit in that sense, society's mold of like, you know, you want to be the best version of yourself, and you should to some degree have things like worked out to this age. You know, you want to, by this time, you kind of want to have some sort of like directions, some habits, and some things that are going to help you towards your goal, because you know by now that if you don't have those things, shit's just not going to work out. Hey, if you're getting something out of this video, then hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel out a great deal, and I hate for you to miss the next video that I've got coming up on the same topic as this. So somewhere around here, you start to question your diet, okay? You're starting to realize that if you eat what most people eat and you do what most people do, shit's just going to be very, very bad, okay? Or at the best, it's going to be very mediocre. You're realizing that you're not special, okay? Your body basically works the same way as everybody else. You know, you eat shit, you're going to look like shit, and you're going to feel like shit, okay? It's pretty basic stuff, but it's hard for us to actually ingrain the right habits to make that to work. You're realizing that when you were young, you know, you could eat pizzas, you could drink a bottle of rum, and you could have 3 hours sleep, get up, drive drunk to work, and the day would be a little bit slower, but everything would be okay. If you did that now, you would probably get fired. You wouldn't probably even be able to get out of bed. So you're realizing that your body is slowly breaking down, okay? You're not able to, it's not able to bounce back as it once would. You're starting to question like your food sources and the food that you're eating, okay? Things like wheat, things like soy, things like dairy, things like processed meats. You're realizing and you're learning that a lot of this marketing BS that gets crammed down your throat, like, oh, dairy's good for you because it's good. One moment. You're realizing that dairy, even though like the milk companies are cramming ads down your throat and they're like, oh, it's good for you because it's got calcium in it and vitamins, that it really, if you do a little bit more digging, it's actually a terrible thing to eat and drink, like, well, cheese included. So another thing is like you're questioning where your food comes from, okay? So just some quick examples, you know, you might be going down the frozen section like, oh, fish fillets, pull the fish fillets out, and you at once upon a time you would have put that straight into your shopping trolley, but now you turn the label over like you do with all your food now, turn the label over, and you're like, oh, these fish fillets come from Thailand. What's in Thailand? The Mekong River. And with a little bit of research, you realize that that is not good food because it's made next to a cement factory. And then you might do a little bit more digging and you learn, oh, salmon's actually a good food. And but I can't seem to get wild caught Alaskan salmon because everybody wants it and it's double the price. But then you're like, oh, what about this salmon? Okay. And you turn the label over.
Jerome Ruzan works for the University of Bergen in Norway. He measured the concentration of toxic chemicals present in various food products. And the results that he obtained are enlightening.
The different colors represent different pollutants. Hamburger, whole milk, eggs, apples, potatoes, cod, and farmed salmon. Compared to other products, we can see very clearly that farmed salmon contains much more pollutants.
Farmed fish is 5 times more toxic than all the other products found in our supermarkets. For Jerome Ruzan, the conclusion is obvious.
You simply must avoid exposure to these pollutants. By ingesting them, you're exposed. That's obvious.
And you're like, oh, it's probably one of the most toxic foods on the planet, which is, you know, salmon from Norway. So you start to like realize, oh, okay, I can't eat food based on face value. I got to do a little bit more research. And again, it jacks your anxiety up. It gets you very worried about your food sources. I know, I'm still there. I believe I'm sort of on the tail end of it now because I've done all the research and I've learned what I should and should be eating. But certainly when you're first starting out, this is a huge and overwhelming task, and hence why like maybe I might even put that into like a very small part of my course at some point. I don't know, we'll see how we do it, we'll see how we go with it. But the point I'm getting at is you're starting to see the effects of food and what it has on your mind, in your body, okay? You hear it from doctors, but until you actually experience it and you go, okay, I eat the right foods, I feel good about it, then it doesn't actually become apparent, and it's very painful to not be able to eat cheese anymore, okay? So you're sort of asking, like, what can you do to like implement better strategies, set yourself up for success, and like reduce your decline and like increase your longevity. These are all the things you're trying to like poke at and perfect so that things can be better. So you're asking yourself, what's the future going to hold? You know, like if I don't sort of thread the needle and do the right things, I'm going to end up like everybody else, you know, and things aren't going to be good. Just sort of looking around the average person, you're questioning, I don't really want that in my life. What can I freaking do so that this doesn't happen to me? Because, you know, if you maybe you're like me, you know, you don't have very good genetics, and then you realize that like, wait, it's going to be a double hit. Don't have good genetics, eat bad food, shit's going to be bad. Whereas even with somebody with good genetics, they can sort of tolerate a little bit of like a worse quality food and still sort of get by. So, but if you're like me and you know that you have a lot of health conditions, then yeah, you really got to get this shit sorted. So another one where I certainly have fallen short, okay, is look how skinny I am, is exercise. We've heard, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but again, you know, when you were younger, you was a lot more resilient. You were able to, you know, you were running around a lot more anyway because you're with your friends and you get out kicking the football, doing those sort of things. But as you get older, unless you've actually put together like a strict workout exercise routine that you do on a regular basis, your body just deteriorates, okay? It deteriorates much quicker than it did before. It was a lot easier to maintain your health when you're younger. Now it's sort of like it has to become a bit more of a chore, a bit more of a lifestyle in order to make things happen. Hey, if you got something out of this video, then hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel out a great deal. And then that way, together, we can actually spread this message to more men so that we can all crush it and grow. If you made it this far in this video, then obviously you're fairly interested in self-development and becoming the best version of yourself. You know, maybe you're in your late 20s or your early 30s and you're starting to realize that your life isn't actually on the trajectory that you want it to be, and it needs to be, and you kind of need some help with it. And you've sort of like appreciate the way that I lay things out with my very like logical, meticulous, practical and pragmatic way of going about this. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, maybe the best thing for you to do is, while it's fresh in your mind, is to send us a message on Instagram. Just ask us any random question and we can actually start a conversation with each other. Be really super excited to see you pop up in my inbox. You and I can have a bit of a conversation, maybe even get on a one-on-one discovery call and see if we're actually a good fit to work together. If we resonate with each other and I think that I have what it takes to be able to help you, and you think that I have what it takes to be able to, how do I explain this? You think that I have what it takes to be able to help you, so there's like a good mutual agreement and we've come together in the middle, then I'll put you through my mentoring program, okay? It's going to take about 12 weeks, be able to pump you through my mentoring program. We're going to go through death meditation. We're going to go through a whole lot of these like questions that I've been talking about in these videos in a much more structured format. And then that way you come out the other side a completely changed man. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, then send me a message on Instagram. If not, but you like this sort of content, you want to help support me and support the channel, then hit that like button and subscribe. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Dice out. Boom.